Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the show, everybody. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen, our producers Alex Napolis, of course, every day. And we're anticipating a phone call in just momentarily from the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, André Tourigny. Can't wait to have a conversation with Coach about nice start to the 7-game home stand that they're going to have. They're going to have 10 out of the next 14 games at home. Man, they needed that one last night.
Had to have it.
I will tell you, though, one of my favorite things to do, and I've done this with the Canadian teams mostly, because I don't think any market loves. I mean, that's not true. You got Boston Bruins fans and you got your Chicago Blackhawks
Red Wings,
fans.
Detroit fans.
Yes,
are crazy.
The original 6, fan bases. They're really, really good fan bases, but they have other teams they could also watch.
Right.
What are you watching in Ottawa?
Nothing but hockey.
So you've got a ton of hockey. Again, the lower leagues right below that, they're phenomenal, and they watch those just as,
They follow junior hockey like it's big-time college football here in the United States.
Right, because these guys are going to end up being they're the NHL players. And I love going and reading the opposing cities' thoughts on their team's performance. And I opened up the Ottawa Citizen today. I subscribe. Okay? Just in case you were wondering, my wife saw, why do we have a $4.99 a month? Is this a Canadian dollars that we're getting charged?
This is expensive paper.
I started reading this article in the Ottawa Citizen, and the headline is, Senators again pointless after effort in a 3-1 loss to Mammoth. I know that they didn't win. I know they didn't get any points, and that's what they're talking about. Another pointless effort makes it sound like it's even worse than it was. That it's not just pointless, that's pointless.
Well, that game was pointless.
Yeah, why'd we even show up? Team sucks, man. And they also had a guy who was breaking it all down who covers them and was here in Utah and was just like, yeah, it's great. Karel Vejmelka had a massive game for Utah. That was good. But our guys don't have any fight in them. And this was a team, according to them, again, other markets go, why are you losing to the Mammoth in Salt Lake City? And it's like, well, I mean, you're in dead last in your division in the East, by the way. And I know that they have as many wins as Utah did last on the season until last night. But that's, to me, the more interesting thing is when you see that the parity in the Western Conference, like the Eastern Conference is getting you, it doesn't give you a real snapshot of the talent, I think, of the teams compared to what you're getting in the West.
Right.
And the effort last night by Veggie was massive. That was the biggest one. 33 stops. Ottawa was shooting like crazy, by the way. This could have gone very poorly for the Mammoth last night.
Well, as soon as Ottawa got that goal, I was like, here we go again.
Well, and the defending was not happening.
Right.
There were a lot of bad penalties that they gave up. There were a ton of penalties. Both sides, by the way, had guys in the penalty box, it seemed like, every other minute. And so to have the stretch that they did, they needed that second period, the scoreless second period that Veggie gave them, because they were doubled up on shots in the second period by Ottawa. And they've had an issue with that, by the way. They're not showing up with nearly as many shots as a lot of these other teams are. So it's been an interesting thing to watch. But again, the usual suspects that the ones you're expecting to put the puck in the back of the net, Dylan Guenther has been kind of absent a little bit in the last few games
since the hat trick.
Well, that's true. Since the hat trick, penalties last night, but you're not getting you're just not seeing the lamp lit by the usual suspects, which is great for guys like we mentioned Michael Carcone yesterday. Sean Dursey was showing up and scoring. Last night you had, Lawson Krause, and you have guys scoring goals that you're going, all right, that's awesome. They're showing up and they're doing it. But you also want your big names to be the ones. And I know Daniil Boot is one of these guys that I'm looking forward to what this guy can do. Because his goal last night was, I'm rooting for that kid, man. He's 19.
Yeah, his teammates call him Cheeks.
That's not really what the teens. That's what we call a A nice compliment. They do? They call him that?
Yeah. Yes, they do.
Jeez.
You're shocked by this?
Coach,
you shocked an NHL locker room would come up with that?
Now, listen, Coach Tourigny might correct us, but, do you notice, too, that Coach has his nicknames for everybody is just the total Coach nickname? Everybody has
he
a
just
Y
adds
at the end.
on the end of it?
Or
Booter.
Gunner. Kel's is good guy. It's everybody, you add a Y or an ER to guys, and that's their nickname. That's their nickname.
It's a pretty easy way to go about doing it, especially in a second language.
I'm not going to ask Coach if he calls them Cheeks.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Coach Cheeks had a good game last night. What are your thoughts? But they like this kid. They like this kid a lot, and he does. And maybe he would comment and go, I don't know who Cheeks is. But Booter had a good game.
That's why one of us has to ask the question.
We should rock, paper, scissors for who has to ask it. You ready?
I'm fine with doing it.
Okay.
I'm not a coward.
Okay.
I'm not a coward. I'll do it.
Okay. Oh my goodness! So it was a nice win last night. It was great way to get started, and this team needed it. They needed the showing up of not just these other guys to get it done, but also the win at home to start it off. I mean, they've got to go in these 10 games out of the next 14 they play at home. They got to win 7 of them, and then they got to win 1 or 2 on the road. And if you're going to do that, great start last night. Otta was a team that you needed to kind of get. It wasn't the slump-busting team, but certainly they got an important win last night against the Senators.
Yeah, they did. We talked about it coming in. It was great to end that trip with the win against the Rangers in overtime, the way it went down. The Mammoth have never lost in the state of New York. Finished that trip 2-1. The Jersey game, that was disappointing. But to bounce back and have an effort like that and to gut out a win like that against a really good team in the East was a nice way to end that trip and kind of vault them and get some momentum going. Coming into this 7-game homestand, which I felt was crucial. We talked about how important it is for the Utah Mammoth to start stacking up some points at this point in the season because they're road weary. They've had a really tough stretch. We get it, but you can't make the Stanley Cup playoffs winning a game and losing a game, winning a game and losing a game. You got to get on a run. You got to go on a run. You got to get a hot stretch going, and this feels like it could be that. This feels like it could be that. Two straight wins now, I think for the first time since early December, that they've been able to put together a couple back-to-back wins and a chance now to get a streak going and build on that. So I like what we saw for the Mammoth last night, a good response. They could have had the letdown first night back from the trip. They did not. Jumping out to the 2-1 lead and then finishing it off in the third period as they should at home was exactly what they needed, and now they can build on that moving forward because it's time now for this Utah Mammoth team to start stacking some W's, get 2 points every night out for a while here, and climb in the standings because we've seen this team play at a level that is top 10 in the league. They need to start doing it consistently, and hopefully this is the start of that.
Do you think that starting it off with the win, that's great and everything, but where do you think that this team needs to improve at home in the next stretch here? Because I just don't see them playing phenomenal defense. I think the blue line's got to get shored up. They've got to do so much better. They're giving up so many shots. And like I said, so many of those, you're not – I don't know if you're going to get 33 saves out of Edgy every night, but what a night for him. Phenomenal way to do it. You got it. You love to see it. Joining us on the program right now is the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, André Tourigny. Let's get right to him.
Your exclusive radio home of the Utah Mammoth is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Now it's time to hear from the head coach of the Mammoth, André Tourigny.
Bear on the program, of course, like he is every week with us on the show. Coach, nice win last night. Way to get the it must feel good to get the homestand started off with that W against Ottawa. What did you like out of your team last night?
I like a lot of stuff, but what I like the most is when push comes to shove in the third period, when the chip were down, I think the guys really buckle up and play a really solid defense. We had the intensity, the focus mentally. I really like the way we played in those situations.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that game in Madison Square Garden the other night because I felt like that was a really, really good effort by you guys, and there was so much guts in that game, and you guys pulled that one out.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to get that win to cap off that trip before this long 7-game homestand?
I think you got it right. I think that was a key. We came back from a Christmas break, and we played really good against Nashville at home, but we didn't find a way to win. So that was a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. And then we go on that trip, played a good game against the Island where we found a way, and we regrouped during the game and win the game. And then we lost that game in Jersey. So that was all the difference in the world. You win that game, then you win the road trip. You come back from that road trip with 2-1, and now you're at home for a little while. So that was really important. So I really like the fact at MSG we were down after 2. The guys really came out. We were playing well. We were playing really well, actually. And we needed to find a way to score the big goal. And we did in the third. And we had several chances. And we had a big kill at the end of the game as well to give us a chance to go in the overtime and to win in overtime. So I think that gave us momentum. But it was a will win kind of we will our way to that win. So was proud of the guys on that, no doubt.
Coach, the gritty is a way to put it. Every night, if you're playing in the NHL, you got to be gritty. Even in losses, teams are gritty.
Yep.
But this team kind of exhibits that on a nightly basis, just the fight that's in there. Yep. Just even that third goal that you talked about, I was like, oh, well, this is going to get covered up. And just the fight to stay with it that Daniil Boot had to have his second score of the season. I love that type of effort. And that's a guy I know you've talked a lot about and you believe a lot in number 19. Tell us what he's been bringing over the past few weeks here. He's 17 games into his NHL career, second goal of his career last night, and it was a nice one, and it was needed too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a key goal. But the thing I will say about Booter, what I really like lately is he got hit hard in a few games in a row. Last night he got hit hard by Clevin in the corner, and he plays hard, so he got hit, and that did not change his game at all. And the reverse, and the same in New York. He went to the net a couple of times, and he got in not a fight, but a little scrum, and that did not faze him at all. The next shift, he kept going in the net and kept driving the net hard. So you saw the same thing a little bit yesterday, where after he got hit, that did not change his game one bit, and he scored that goal, that gritty goal around the net where he dig in. So that's cool to see the fight in him like that. He's a good player, like I often say. He has good IQ. He does a lot of good thing on the ice. He knows the positioning. He understands the game. He wants to do good. He's coachable. So there's a lot of good in it. It's obviously his size and skill are obvious, but I think the kid, the person, he's great as well. It's fun to work with, and he had that edge and that grit. So that's really, really, really good to have him on our side.
I know nicknames are a big deal in an NHL locker room. I heard you called Daniil Booter. I know his teammates call him Cheeks. Which nickname is better, Coach?
Oh, Cheeks is a legend. That's best. That's best. I think that's great. I like it, but I think we have a great locker room, and the boys they love each other, and you can feel the camaraderie between the boys. So I think having a teammate like that, I think it's good for young players. They feel they're part of it early. They feel they belong. So that's really cool.
Being Russian, did someone have to explain to him what that meant?
Well, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure he figured it out quick. If so, somebody explained him for sure. But I'm pretty sure you knew.
Coach, coming home, obviously the expectation in the NHL is you got to win more at home than you, and then you go out on the road and splitting those games is kind of the goal. And being at home has not been something you guys have been able to do a lot of so far this year. How nice is it going to be 10 out of the next 14 before the Olympic break to get those games at home and under your belt, and how crucial are those, and how big of a deal is it to have your crowd on your side at those home games?
Oh, I think that having the crowd on our side is a big deal. I'd say one thing. I thought we had to win every game. I didn't know we had a mulligan on the road. I'm joking, but they're all important. If you want to if you want to achieve your goal, you need to win on a consistent basis. And the momentum in the NHL is real. Something is real. So you need to take advantage of your sequence. You're playing good as a team. And I think right now we're playing good. We have an opportunity to be back in front of our fans. Would that give us an extra boost every night? So I think there's an opportunity there, but we need to stay focused, stay even keel. We won 2 games in a row. It's not like it's something we can get ahead of ourselves with that. We're happy. We're playing good. But tomorrow it's another big game. It's a division game. St. Louis is a tough opponent. They play stingy defense, so that will be important for us to play with a lot of pace offensively like we did yesterday, and be as well really hard defensively. So there's a lot of hockey to be played. Well, we're playing good right now, and we're really happy to be on.
You know, the best teams in any sport are player-led teams, and, you know, a coach can go out there and get fiery and do his thing in his speeches, but it means more when it comes from a player. And after that Jersey game, which was disappointing, Shehan Jeyarajah got in front of the media and talked about the inconsistency and how it needed to change, and he made some comments that I think were bold, and I think you saw a difference in the team in that game against the Rangers, but specifically you saw a difference in Shehan Jeyarajah. Not only did he get up in front of a mic and talk the talk, but he walked the walk on the ice in the next game. How important is that for you to have a guy like Shehan Jeyarajah step up in a moment like that that's crucial and show leadership like that?
I always say the best coaching is coming from the player all the time. I think that is where you get the commitment. You know, you always talk about culture. Coach arrives somewhere, he wants to establish a culture. When do you know you have a right culture? And when it's the player who protect and set the standard. When the player said, hey, that's how we do it here, nobody can go against that. The coach, we can preach, that's fine. But when the player take charge, take ownership, and they set the standard, now you're heading somewhere. So it can be from Durs, or it can be from Sergei or Coldy or Kels and all those guys. I think that is where it carries a lot of weight, way more weight than anybody else outside the trenches. I think the general can say whatever he wants, but when you're in the trenches and the bullets are flying everywhere, the guys you need to trust is the guys beside you. He's the guy who's in the trenches with you. So you need to, those are the guys you need to rely on when the tough time happens.
Veggie so far this year, 25th in save percentage in the league, and that's a guy who doesn't like that type of a number being in that sub-90 spot, but he's playing his best hockey right now that we've seen out of him all year. What has changed in the past couple of weeks for Veggie?
Well, there's a few things. I think, in our team, we don't give a lot of shots. Last night we gave above 30, but it's not every night. So the margin of error for our goalie is not super high. We're one of the team who blocked shots in the league and stuff like that. So for the goalie, the numbers doesn't mean everything. I think for me, what's important is, does the goalie give you a chance to win? Does he give, when the game is on the line, when you need the save, when you need the big PK, when you talk about MSG, we took a penalty at the end of the game. Now it's 2-2, but you need to make a few saves, and he did make those saves. So whatever the number says after the game, at key moments, you could rely on him. He was there for the team. He was there for you, and those are the save war, the most important. So I think he's been good. I think he's even better lately.
Wanted to get your reaction to the news that we received yesterday that the 2027 Winter Classic is coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium here in Salt Lake City. What impact does it have for a franchise, especially a young franchise like the Mammoth, to host an event of this magnitude?
I think it's huge because it gives credibility. It showed the league think highly of your program, of your ownership, of the state of Utah, and they believe in us, putting us a great show who will showcase the league. So it's a commitment from the league, and it's a belief from the league of Utah is the right place to do that kind of a show. So I think it means a lot to me.
The outdoor game is kind of interesting. I know that the players will say, "Oh, it's awesome, it's great," and it is an awesome promotional piece. But like from a coaching standpoint and from like the being outside, is that like, oh man, this goes back to feeling like when we were kids again, and just that vibe, or is it one of those things you're like, all right, we just have to do this thing. We have to do the outdoor game. All right, just get ready for it. I know the ice isn't going to be perfect.
No.
Or how much of it, like, do these players love doing this type of thing?
I think it's 82 games during the season, and now we'll have 81 of those games and one winter classic, one outdoor game. I think it's a unique experience. I think it's great. It reminds us good souvenir, and it give us the opportunity to be a part of something really, really special with our organization, with our fans, with our teammates. So I see that as an unbelievable opportunity. I think I know a lot of guys or player or coach who have been in those, and they have way more souvenir than any other game has been played on the January 4th of 2019 or whatever it is. So I think it will be awesome.
Bear Tourigny, head coach of the Utah Mammoth, nice enough to join us as he is every week, and it's just been really fun to kind of keep up to date with you, Coach, and wish you the best of luck here as you guys get going. You're staying at home for the next 6, and then you'll hit the road for another 4, and then you'll come back again for another 3 games before the Olympic break. Yep. It's tomorrow you're taking on the Blues, and then you have the Blue Jackets on Sunday, so we're looking forward to it. Good luck, and thanks for being with us, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
for having me.
Coach Bear Tourigny. He calls them cheeks, too. Oh, you know what? In honor of Coach Bear Tourigny coming on the program, I've got a family 4-pack of tickets to give away.
Boom, let's do it.
4 tickets to when are we going to see this game? Tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow night. So you know what?
It's a big game.
Clear the calendar. We've got some tickets to the Blues and the Mammoth at Delta Center tomorrow. All you have to do is give us a call right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. Get yourself a 4-pack of tickets to see the Mammoth take on the Blues tomorrow at Delta Center. Nice to see Coach in this space, although he doesn't you don't get a grumpy. Well, no, you do. You get a grumpy Bear, but we get the nice version of Bear all the time, like the media version. I like it.
He's always very good to us, but extra energy today. You could tell that there's a good vibe right now with that group.
Well, there's a corner that needs to be turned still, and
Sure.
I feel like that there's a feeling like they could be in that apex, and they could be really putting the foot to the ground maybe at this point. If not, you spin off the road again and have to get started up, and you find yourself way behind the 8 ball. And it's just is not a time to do it. This time of year is just, I mean, everybody is fighting. Right?
They've got to go on a big run in the month of January.
The NHL is almost as good as the NBA or the NFL when it comes to parity. And so
Just look at the East, Alex. Have you seen the standings?
Yeah, it's crazy. They're on top of each other. And it's like, oh yeah, we're in last place. We have 45 points. And
yeah, the Columbus Blue Jackets have 43 points. And let me see. I got it right now.
Ottawa's got 43 also. Those are the
Pittsburgh Penguins are the last wild card team right now at 49. So the last place team in the East is still very much alive for a wild card spot on January 8th. Yeah,
Crazy.
There's not a big gap between the wild card and the bottom of the standings there. It's a little different in the West. Vancouver and Winnipeg are done. The Jets have lost 10 in a row, and they only have 35 points. What happened to that outfit? Speaking of cheeks, the Jets are cheeks.
Yeah, they are. You could put that in any
buns.
You could put that in any sport, by the way. Just it goes for anybody who's a Jet.
Anybody that's a Jet.
If you're a Jet,
is usually in last place.
Yeah, you're not going to be good right now.
All Jets teams are buns.
My goodness. All right, we'll take a break. We got to come back, and when we do, we've got ourselves around the corner. Shehan Jeyarajah is going to join us. CBS Sports. Covers, of course, college football and is heavily involved, of course, in the Big 12, covering the Big 12. Does such a good job. We're going to have Shehan's reaction to some of the offseason developments, the additions and subtractions of coaches, especially here locally, but also the effect of the NIL stuff and the transfer portal and what we're seeing here. We announced it earlier in the show, but LJ Martin made it known that he is coming back. He's going to play another season at BYU. He's running it back. Everybody is, it seems like. If they're eligible, they're running it back at
All
BYU.
in.
It's nice to be able to get paid, too.
That's why they're all in.
Yeah, they're all in. They literally pushed all the chips into the middle. We'll come back. We've got more to go. Shehan's going to join us next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen, thanks for being with us on the show. You can always download the podcast wherever podcasts are found all day long, every show, every segment broken down. You just subscribe to each show in your podcast feed, and boom, there you go. KSLSports.com. Of course, is where you can also find it and take a listen and stream listening to it, but you can also watch it on the KSL Sports YouTube channel as well. Joining us on the program right now, Shehan Jeyarajah. He covers college football for CBS Sports, does a phenomenal job, and, of course, does so much covering the Big 12 among so many other things. Shehan, thanks for being on the program, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get away from the local stories that we want to talk about so much real quick and just get your thoughts on this whole Desmond Williams thing and maybe the latest of what has become Demond Williams, excuse me, what has become such a weird story across the board in college football. And, you know, in a day where we just go, well, I don't know, it's the Wild West, this one seems like it might be a really big problem for college football.
Well, this is kind of the first moment that we get to figure out whether, I guess you could say, any of this is real, right? Because in the case of Demond Williams, the other quarterback who very explicitly signed a revenue-sharing contract with his existing school at Washington, and less than a week later is going back on it and saying that he's going to, transfer likely to LSU. This is unprecedented, especially in the revenue-sharing era. And what we're about to figure out is whether these contracts are binding. Now, there's a couple things to know about this, right? First is the contracts and the revenue share and all this sort of stuff is set out in the House v. NCAA agreement. And so a lot of legal folks on the NCAA side are a little more optimistic that this will pass muster because, basically when the House case was decided, from a legal perspective, there's like a legal injunction that makes this enforceable. But we've never actually seen one of these contracts attempted to be enforced, especially when it comes to being binding and not being able to get out of it to go to another school. So this is truly unprecedented at this point. Now, let's be clear about this. What Washington is going to try to do is not going to be trying to, let's say, get him back to be their starting quarterback. Like that, obviously, at this point is not a realistic or palatable situation for a number of reasons, but they are going to try to make this more complicated for him to either be able to transfer to LSU or potentially, impact his ability to either play or earn money at LSU. And the other piece of it, too, is, the other thing that could come out of it could be something like damages. There isn't apparently an explicit buyout set in the contract. I'm curious how that ends up being enforced by the courts. That's something that actually, this contract is considered a standard revenue sharing one by the Big Ten. And so I expect this to turn into a big case and potentially have some long-term implications.
There was another story that came out, I believe, yesterday or the day before that about that LSU had offered it was Sorsby.
Oh yeah,
the
Sorsby,
the $3.5 million NIL that hadn't gone through the clearinghouse, and of course you got the situation with Ole Miss. Are their coaches going to be able to coach in this game or not? Why is it all these three stories have Lane Kiffin involved? My goodness, come on, Lane.
Well, no, I mean it is very much explicitly because LSU and Lane Kiffin are the most don't get a darn program right now in college football, right? Like that's where we're at right now is that, that there are programs that, especially in this new era, because let's take a step back, right? 1 year ago, the House v. NCAA case, 6 months ago actually, but 1 year ago in football season parlance, the House case went into effect. This is the first offseason that we've ever had that technically is supposed to be under a salary cap. We can obviously quibble about whether it will be enforced or not, but that's the legal standing, at least, of this moment. And so we're legitimately having teams try to figure out how to work around this. Now, what's interesting about the contract that was leaked to Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo, who obviously is one of the best, one of the best writers in the sport and reporters, is that from what the contract seemed to say, it was that more than $3 million was supposed to essentially go through their multimedia rights partner, Playfly Sports. Now, look, I mean, obviously we'll kind of have to wait and see, like, how legitimate and how well these things are able to pass muster when they are put under review by the College Sports Commission. But, like, that is certainly an unusual way and I guess sort of an inside look on how this sort of thing might work. Because, again, whether Learfield or Playfly or all this sort of stuff, like, there are many examples of these multimedia rights and licensing companies that work with college programs right now. So it's going to be fascinating to see, like, is that something that's considered separate? Is that something that's considered legitimate? And is that something, again, that will pass muster when it's put under review? And then, by the way, you throw on top of all of this, right, the idea that, will the College Sports Commission's reviews even be upheld under legal standards? So a lot of stuff going on, and everybody is kind of taking a different approach on this, right? You have some programs that are trying to be conservative and saying, let's not get ourselves into trouble. You have other ones like Lane Kiffin and LSU saying, let's go ahead and jump right in and dare them to stop us.
Shehan, one of the things, of course, here locally that we've been hyper-focused on, we've just been there's been a lot of really, really good coaches in this state, and when you're doing a really, really good job coaching, you're going to be sought out to coach somewhere else. In the Kyle Whittingham case, of course, you saw how he would step down as the coach, and then suddenly he's now the coach of Michigan, and then that domino effect happened to be a lot of staff leaving both BYU and Utah, and just kind of that ripple effect that happens, it seemed to hit, of course, here in the state biggest. What do you think the big impact is going to overall be now that both staffs have sort of solidified themselves? Everybody's got everybody back to normal, and they have their defensive coordinators, they have their position coaches. Where do BYU and Utah sit as to how you see that they put everybody together? What do you kind of grade them as getting those new coaches replaced?
Yeah, I'll start on the BYU side. I mean, look, losing Jay Hill, I think, was really unfortunate. I think that, all of this for this state of Utah obviously was pretty unfortunate, just the timing and how it all happened. But, I think that they made a really good hire promoting internally. I think that they have a system that they feel really good about. They have a roster, too, that still should be in good shape. So, for them, I honestly feel like it's going to be mostly business as usual. Will you feel the difference with, maybe certain calls or certain situations that Jay Hill was a master at? Yeah, I think you definitely will. I think there'll be moments where this defense, has some growing pains from a play caller perspective. But I think that overall there's not a whole lot of reason to worry. I'm a little more curious on the Utah side because obviously, it's going from an offense that was very much sort of, I guess you call it like power option spread based with Jason Beck and how much it kind of leaned into their big physical identity to now first you lose the offensive play caller in Jason Beck. Of course, you also have to deal with the loss of basically the entire offensive line to graduation in the NFL. That was already going to be a difficult situation to deal with. And then, again, it's going to be a very different looking offense under the new offensive coordinator who comes in, with a lot of different principles. He spent time, I know, at San Jose State. So he spent time at Hawaii, kind of comes from that run and shoot tree, which is, again, quite a departure from what they were doing, not just under Jason Beck, but under the previous offensive staff as well. So I think that that's going to be a little bit more of a transition process. The other thing, too, that I think sort of comes into play is, all right, well, certainly, offensive coordinators, adjust to fit their talent. But at the same time, it's like, well, how does the existing quarterback necessarily work under that, right? Like he was brought in to do something very specific, and all of a sudden it's going to look potentially a lot different. I'll be very curious to kind of hear the questions and hear them go through spring camp. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be quite a departure compared to what it's been in previous years.
L.J. Martin announced today that he will be back at BYU in 2026. What impact does that have, if healthy, on BYU's chances in the Big 12 next year? How could that impact the Big 12 race?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I just saw that news as I was getting the phone call from you guys. So that is tremendous. I mean, that is so big for BYU, not just for, obviously from the running back position, but I think for what this program can do. I think that L.J. Martin, for me, we'll have to sit down and look at who all is there. He's going to be on the short list to be a first-team All-America preseason running back for me. Like, he is one of the best in the country. You saw the way that he growed across the 2025 season, especially when he was able to get healthy. Like, he is just so big, so strong, so fast. He has breakaway ability. He's a pass catcher. Like, he is the sort of player that you can build an offense around. To be honest, like, I think that, certainly I'd probably ask him, like, man, are you sure you don't want to go to the NFL right now? I think that he is a very legitimate NFL back, but certainly BYU was able to make it worth his while to stay. And him staying in town, I think, is going to be huge. I mean, and the other thing, too, is that, obviously it's L.J. Martin coming back, but also, I mean, again, they have guys coming back on offense as well. They have quarterback Bear Bachmeier expected back. They have some interesting young receivers. They have an encouraging offensive line. Like, I think that L.J. Martin coming back really helps set up that next generation of BYU football, and I expect him to I'm trying to make sure I'm not blanking on anybody, but he should be the best running back in the Big 12 and on the short list along with, I would say, Ahmad Hardy at Missouri for best in the country.
This is the Big 12 is such a wild conference. You never know what you're going to get, and the transfer portal has brought quite a bit of wildness, and I mean, including a team like Arizona State who loses their quarterback and a guy that had carried them pretty darn far and, could see the grass or at least the money being greener everywhere else. And it's an interesting thing that all these teams are going through. If you were to handicap it right now, and Iowa State is just all Penn State now. And so if you were to handicap this thing early, who's got kind of a nod kind of to be a favorite in January right now of 2026 as we start to try to call what this thing looks like? All the lists we make, everything changes. This time last year, we thought we had, a way to predict this one. And then the Jake Retzlaff news hit BYU, of course, in the middle of the summer. And you thought, well, they're going to be terrible. And then it turned out differently. I don't know what to expect with this conference, but what can you give us in terms of teams that you should look at and go, no, set your watch by those guys. They're going to still be good.
Well, hopefully we won't have a situation like that for a number of reasons. And the other, I will say, too, I didn't mention Kawan Lacey on running back. He's about to play tonight, so I should probably mention him, too. But to go back to the question, I don't want to just simplify it to this, but, the two teams that played for a Big 12 title this year, I think are the early favorites to play for it in 2026 as well. Texas Tech's going to look a lot different in 2026, obviously losing a lot of their defensive line, their star linebacker, Jacob Rodriguez. I think, though, that they're going to be a sort of a different look team with bringing in Brendan Sorsby in a really, really good offense. This is an offensive line that I think will take a step in sort of year two of this new iteration of Texas Tech. Sorsby gives you a lot as both a passer and a runner. I think that would have been very much helpful in that game against Oregon. They're going to be really good at receiver. We'll kind of see how they finish up. They've got, by the way, I mentioned L.J. Martin's best running back in the Big 12, but they've got the best running back room in the Big 12 with Cam Dickey, Jacoby Williams, and also Quentin Joyner, who was supposed to be their number one back, who came over from USC last year. And then defensively, they put together a really good defensive line class. They're set to essentially add a great safety in Coy Parrish coming over from Minnesota. I think that they are still either one or two in the Big 12, with that other team being BYU for all the reasons that we mentioned before. Now, look, I mean, it's going to be a competitive year, but those to me right now are still the two best teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we were so enamored with Texas Tech after watching BYU play them twice and Utah play them. I expected them to be in the national championship game, but that didn't work out for them. And nobody knows Texas Tech better than you. What happened to Texas Tech in the college football playoff, and how much of an impact negatively does that have on the perception of the Big 12 among the rest of the country?
Well, I remember talking to one of my good buddies last year who's just a Texas Tech fan, who used to cover them a while back. And, at first I was kind of and this was before the David Bailey news, by the way, which I think kind of really changed everything. I kind of said, this feels like a lot of moves to raise the floor of Texas Tech. And I don't know how much is going to raise the ceiling. Now, I think that getting David Bailey really did change the ceiling argument, but I think that there were some legitimate concerns, with the offense, especially heading into the year. Now, Darren Morton had one of the worst games I've seen a quarterback in the Big 12 have in 2025, unfortunately at the worst time. I mean, he was just he was just erratic. Like there's no way around that. This was an offensive line that I think improved, but was not elite necessarily. And I think you saw that pop up even in those BYU games, especially when they got into the red zone. And, I think that while their running game was, I think, really strong in the second half of the year, they didn't have necessarily a true difference maker at wide receiver either. Now, defensively, they were everything and more, and obviously they proved that against Oregon. But, this is a team in 2026. I expect them to, again, starting with the quarterback position with Brendan Sorsby, I think that they're going to be a little bit more dynamic, especially in the quarterback run game. I think that on the offensive line, again, I would make the case that the offensive line is actually, I don't even not make the case. Like, I will tell you, the offensive line is the hardest position to portal. You cannot do that in 1 year. But there are multiple players from that portal class that are still going to be on campus in 2026, and I expect that they're going to take a very legitimate jump on the offensive line in year 2. So, yes, it definitely hurts perception of the Big 12. It definitely hurts perception of Texas Tech. But, I think that a big part of it, too, is that a lot of that game was about Oregon being really, really good, and Texas Tech is just going to need to continue building itself up. I mean, there's a lot of ways that Oregon is Texas Tech multiple years down the road with the way that they've invested since the start of NIL, especially. And now we're going to kind of have to see whether Texas Tech can create that next act for themselves.
Shehan, this semifinal that starts things up tonight between Miami and Ole Miss. Those are I've called them the two misfit teams in the playoffs still, but we kind of like that. We like the idea if there's a version of an underdog in this how this thing is played out. It was these two teams likely not being the ones that people saw playing in this game together. But your thoughts on the first semifinal that starts up tonight down in Glendale, Arizona?
Yeah, fascinating game, as you can imagine. Ole Miss, a team that I really did not see having that extra gear. I think that Trinidad Chambliss has given it to them in a lot of ways, along with Kawan Lacey, the fantastic running back over there. And, I mean, again, like, there's so few teams left, in college football in some ways, that have a quarterback who can just take over a game the way that Trinidad Chambliss did in that Georgia game. Now the thing is they're going up against a Miami defensive line that is the best in the country. And I think that it's going to be fascinating to see, yes, are they able to get all the way to the quarterback? Because Akeem Mesidor especially is one of the best pass rushers in college football. But I think more important than that, are they able to contain? Because there's definitely a way where, if Miami over pursues and tries to get him down and misses, there's a lot of space available to Trinidad Chambliss to make stuff happen. I think they're going to have to play more fundamentally sound football against Ole Miss than even they had to do against Ohio State. So this is such a fascinating chess match. I'm also really curious to see. Ole Miss, it's not a secret, has been dealing with having only half of its staff for a lot of the past week. Does that become a factor heading into a game like this?
Shehan Jeyarajah, see his byline there, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. He does a phenomenal job covering it, and he shows up on all our shows across this station because we need all the Big 12 insights we can get, and Shehan does a great job of having all of it. So we appreciate it. We'll chat with you again, Shehan. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, I probably spend more time in Salt Lake City than just about anywhere in the country, so I appreciate you having me on as always.
Love it.
We love football here, Shehan. Thank you.
Other way. He does a phenomenal job.
I know it.
There you go. Have a great one. Thanks for being with us.
You too.
There you go. Yeah, Big 12 took a hit on that one. It's not just that they lose the game; it's the zero burger you put up on the screen.
It wasn't even competitive. I was stunned how uncompetitive they were offensively.
It was just
we
so
saw
wild.
that offense.
Yeah.
I know. So you go back to the Utah game. It took them until the fourth quarter to really get going, but they got going.
Yeah.
And then both games against BYU, it was the first big game against BYU, they had to settle for a lot of field goals, but just that felt like they were just a machine. I was shocked at how bad they didn't show up offensively against Oregon.
The weird thing is that of all the things that were great about that team, their weak link was probably Baron Morton.
No, there's no doubt.
We all looked at him and went,
when he went out of the Utah game, that's when
they got
changed.
good. Yeah.
Utah did a great job against him and banged him up, and I don't know. I was really disappointed in their performance, and where the Big 12 was saying we should have had two teams in. Well, one team got in and didn't do anything while they were there. So,
all right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more. We got a top 10 around the corner. And we've got tons to get to. We still have this Ole Miss and Miami game. They're both getting ready down there at the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. It's all set up for a nice one tonight. I want to see if these two teams will deliver. So we'll take that break. We'll come back right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Hearing this Kurt Cobain classic, I lamented something I saw AI give us over the weekend.
What did AI ruin now?
What's that Gottlieb song? The Gottlieb, the Doug Gottlieb band? They sing, didn't have to cut me out. You know that whole, what are their names?
Gautier? The Doug Gottlieb band.
Gottlieb? Whatever.
Gautier or
They're Swiss or whatever,
yeah.
Swedish, whatever.
Yeah.
So AI gave us this whole version of same style where they're all painted faces and everything, just like the old video. It starts with Freddie Mercury and a perfect version of it, and the same voice sounding of it, and the same video, and him singing. So him singing the song, Kurt Cobain singing the song with him, like they're all kind of doing their own stanzas. Snoop Dogg was in it.
Snoop's not
Eminem,
dead.
I know,
Why
but
is Snoop doing it?
Eminem was in it. He's not dead either. But then they brought up Amy Winehouse, and it felt so weird. And they had Kurt Cobain singing some part, like, you know, and you're going, this sounds so weird with his voice on it. And he was so anti-mainstream anyway, like everything that he did.
Sure,
I mean,
he was.
ironically.
Sure he was.
Ironically, right, they get big and, you know. But, yeah, I don't think that would be a song he would have been super on board with.
No.
I got a top 10 here for you, JJ, before you get to the break.
Okay.
By the way, Mitch Harper, our BYU insider for KSLSports.com, is going to join
Perfect
us.
timing for
Next,
Mitch
yes.
today.
Got the LJ Martin news on the back of the hirings getting solidified as well. We'll talk about how one begets the other and how important that was. And I've got in front of me, now this is a subjective list, but I want you to give me, and you have to think pretty darn hard, but this is a list of the top unlikely college football national champions over the years. I've got 10 of them in front of me. You have to kind of do some mental gymnastics here. I'll give you a moment.
Okay.
Here we go, though. On your mark. Do we have the timer ready? Get set. Go.
BYU.
Ding.
Harvard. Princeton. TCU. Oregon State. Oregon.
Now, are we talking about national championships?
Sure, I'm just throwing out names.
Oregon's never won one.
Cal. Stanford. Notre Dame. Haven't won since 88.
Yeah.
Oh, another unlikely one. Oh, man. Who else is one that's random? It wouldn't be Ole Miss, would it? No, not Mississippi State.
Although I would say,
How do you grade random though? Like teams that you'd never expect because they're not good now. I mean, Nebraska won a lot of national championships, but they stink now. Who's another crazy national champion that I'm not even going to guess here? UCLA.
some of them are big names, by the way. They're just
Florida.
It's just the years they did.
Florida State.
Ding.
Oh,
Ding.
Okay.
Both of them.
Alabama. I'm out of time.
Alabama, the 1992 Gene
that's
Stallings.
Right. That was kind of random.
Natty was.
So I did get that in the buzzer.
You did.
Nice. I did get that in there.
Florida State, Alabama. Now, the reason some of these are on the list is because, for example, so the 76 Pitt Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember them.
Tony Dorsett.
Mm-hmm. And it was their first top 10 finish of their program's history. Now, the 81 Clemson Tigers,
Oh, yeah.
unranked to start the season, win the national championship. That's crazy.
Is Georgia Tech on that list?
Georgia Tech not on the list. I think they were really, really good, and that was the point, was that them and Colorado that year wasn't a shock that they won because they were so darn good. But, yeah, they're not teams that you generally would sign up for and go, oh, I like those guys. 1983 Miami Hurricanes. 2002 Ohio State Buckeyes, speaking of which, they won this.
Yeah, that was an upset.
They won that Fiesta Bowl against this Miami team. Auburn in 2010. Oklahoma in 2000. and then the Ohio State Buckeyes in 54. I know you remember that
54, yeah. That was a crazy team.
It was Woody Hayes' first championship. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got Mitch Harper. He's going to give us some thoughts on some of the things, the developments over the past 24 hours with this BYU team who have now solidified that coaching staff. Plus, LJ Martin's coming back and the other names that are running it back in 2026. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.